Yellow!
Hey bud, what's up?
Oh, just getting going here.
Place a disaster?
Oh yeah, big time, bud.
Let's make this happen.
Sounds good.
I'll be up front. Bye.
Let's go to the McDons house. Let's go to the McDons. Let's go to the McDons house and play some songs. Let's go to the McDons house. Let's go to the McDons. Let's go to the McDons house and play some songs.
Thanks, everybody.
Saving up all the tricky us thinking seems like all that's in store for us. Some mysterious conversation. Costume on, and so it's all twist. Evening, just so you can't tell who belongs on that side or this field. Amazing, different. You don't say it until it gets slow or slow, I'm told. You don't say it until it gets slow or slow, I've been told. Setting up to my life available. And all the tricky changes don't seem like something more held and you don't say it until it gets slow or slow. I'm told that you can't do it all eventually got soul and a ritual begins.
It's Ryan's spot of the week. It's Ryan's spot of the week.
Hey, so we're back, and I want to talk about Oak Island today. If you haven't heard of it, you're pretty much an idiot, because most of us are on the East Coast. It's basically south shore of Nova Scotia, 1600s. The place was just littered with pirates, and a lot of people believe, you know, Captain Kidd, old Blackbeard, all kinds of weird bearded pirates were hiding their treasure there. So 1795 is when it all went down, started going down. 16-year-old Danny boy, Dan McGinnis was his real name. He went over to Oak Island because, I mean, there's nothing else to do back then. There's no Sidney Crosby here in Nova Scotia. There's nothing to do. You and your buddies, you know, you get a couple beers on the go, and they noticed this weird marking on the ground, a depression on the ground, circular mark. They also noticed a big old oak tree, and had a pile of weird rope marks on the tree. So of course the boys, they get really excited, you know, they start to dig, and they immediately notice some pick marks, you know, on the walls. So they know there's something seriously buried here, and there's a lot of local legends about pirate treasure. And they keep digging down, and as they get down, you know, every 10 feet, they find planks of wood, and I mean, we now know that the wood dates back to 1595, so right, like I said, 1600s, pirate era, pirates. So I was thinking about the poor young bastards. I mean, you can only imagine, you know, you're really excited, you know you're about to find some treasure, and the boys get 30 feet down, you know, like I said, every 10 feet, they're pulling out these big old logs, you know, they're gonna find Blackbeard, Captain Kidd's treasure, you know, Captain Crunch. It gets to the point where they gotta let the dream die, because, you know, you're 30 feet down trying to huck these logs up a 30-foot pit, and I mean, you're only 16, you know, not everyone was built like me when they were 16, 300 pounds of pure tub and lard. You know, in the last 100 years, we've ended up digging down 140 feet, and same thing, every 10 feet, keep finding the log planks, till we hit 140 feet down, find a mysterious weird tablet, all these weird engravements and such. You know, all these, nobody knows what it is, what it says. So we dig down another 40 feet. What do we find? A big bed of coconut fiber. Guess what, buddy? No friggin' coconuts in anywhere near Nova Scotia. So, I mean, right there we know, again, we're probably onto something. You know, hopefully we're gonna find something a little bit more than coconuts. But, so anyway, we hit 160 feet deep. Like I said, we still keep hitting the log planks every 10 feet. We're past the mysterious marble tablet, and ocean water floods the pit right up. They call it the money pit, because you know there's money down there. These 5 points around the island basically suck in the water from the ocean, just fill it right up, fill up the money pit, and kill you. You know, unless you're like Kevin Costner in Waterworld, pretty much frigged. So we can't even get the treasure. And is this pissing you off? Because I know it's pissing me off. Just want to get some treasure. So there's another account where supposedly a couple of guys, you know, they drilled with a big bit until they got scared. They flooded up the pit. They found pieces of parchment, like old school paper. I'm talking old school. They got some, you know, ink on there. Some guys writing with a feather pen and stuff. And they found like gold chains, or a lake of a gold chain. So, you know, there's probably treasure down there, but there's also speculation that it was the treasure or the parchment was planted by workers who wanted an excuse to continue to dig, because, you know, the employers were kind of like, shut her down, boys, there's nothing here, we're just keeping on dying from the Sarlacc pit. Shut her down, there's gas, there's boobies, there's traps. So some other things that are believed to be buried down there: crown jewels, the crown of thorns, and Jerry the King Lawler, his crown is probably down there. The Ark of the Covenant, which would make sense why Harrison Ford supposedly has a cottage somewhere in Nova Scotia. That's also a big mystery. The cottage could be buried down there, who knows? You know, Crystal Pepsi, you know, where did that stuff go? It was, you know, liquid cocaine practically, so it's probably down there. Pizza Hut Doritos, again, another mystery, where did it go? Absolutely amazing stuff, and it's quite possible that KFC could have hid their taters down there and never be found again. I mean, frig, I want those taters back. Dip them in gravy.
It's Ryan's spot of the week. It's Ryan's spot of the week.
Yeah, you know, we're on the road a lot, too much really, and I'm looking at you, Ken, not because you're such a handsome guy, but I'm just wondering, was there any mention of taking pictures or taking moving pictures? Because there's a lady in a yellow raincoat over here that's been filming the entire concert, which is so not cool. I can't even begin to describe it in front of all these children. That's all right. That's all right. We'll come to your house tomorrow and we'll tape you all day. That ought to be interesting. Don't know if I could sell it.
I'm happier now. I'm happier now. But I'm happier now with all of you inside our hearts. It's so sad to swallow and have a new life, but it can seem so hollow. I'm being back, but it's not to follow. Belong to. After what it took a chance to swallow, have a new life, but it can seem so hollow. I'm being back, but it's not to follow. Belong to. But there was never enough for you to do. There was nothing that I could belong to. But I'm happier now. Happier now. But I'm happier now with all of you inside our fires. It's so sad to swallow you, but it can seem so hollow. I'm being back, but it's not to follow. Belong to. After what it took a chance to swallow, had a good life, but it seems so hollow. I'm being back, but it's not to follow. Belong to. Mark's made a list of the best albums in the history of the human being. Records we all should talk about. An album we could all listen to this week.
Alrighty, welcome to season 2 of the McDons House. Alrighty, we had to do it and we had to get to it, but it seems that it was taking a long time. We're already up to, what, 16 episodes, so that would make it 14 for where we are in the history of the human being, best albums ever. And why did it take Deep Purple so long? 14, you gotta wonder here what the hell is going on. If they're such a lifelong institution, why did they? But anyway, we got to talk about this because this is the best Deep Purple album ever. Not only the 14th best album in the history of the human being, but the best Deep Purple album ever. So let's think about how did this start. We'll go, let's see, to June 1969. To when Rod Evans and Nick Simper are the singer and bass player for Deep Purple, but also Ian Gillan and Roger Glover are the singer and bass player for Deep Purple, unbeknownst to Rod and Nicky. And there's a meeting held. And with this new direction of getting Ian and Roger in the band, it was going to put Deep Purple more into a Zeppelin-esque sort of stature of hard rock. So that was about it for the meeting. Get rid of the old guys, welcome the new guys, let's make plans of what we're going to do. It's mid-1969 here. So basically learn new songs, do gigs, start on a new album, start new and introduce the world to this new lineup. As a little side note to that meeting, John Coletta and Tony Edwards, the managers of Deep Purple, said to John Lord, who was pretty well the leader of the band at that point, "What about you, John? Any goals? Do you have anything in mind that you'd like to do for Deep Purple?" So John Lord says, "I've always thought about making a concerto which involved a rock band and an orchestra. And I've been working on it on downtime." So, about a week later, in early July of 1969, the managers, John and Tony, mentioned to John Lord, the keyboardist of Deep Purple, "Do you remember when you mentioned about that amalgamation of rock band meets orchestra? The score you were working, this concerto you were working on?" And he said, "Yes." He says, "Well, finish it, because we booked the Royal Albert Hall for September, and we booked an orchestra, the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra." Is that it? Yeah, the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra. Sorry, I'm all fucked up here. Anyway, so that's it. It was booked. John Lord had to finish it. And this is not really what Ritchie wanted with Deep Purple. He wanted to just get down to the hard rock, the very heavy, wild stuff, and create this new the band, the Mark II lineup. So, over the next couple of months, John Lord finished this concerto. He collaborated with the conductor, Malcolm Arnold, to set it to paper so the members of the orchestra could read it. Come early September, all they have time for is 2 rehearsals before this is recorded and performed live. The first rehearsal is a catastrophe. Some of the band, some of the members of the orchestra leave, saying that they don't want to play with a third-rate Beatles. And so that was rough. They didn't think it was going to happen. But the second rehearsal went a lot better. So here we go. The day, now what day was it? I should have my date set here. It might have been September 17th, September 9th, September 14th. But whatever the day was, they arrived to the hall that day. And they do the media at around supper time, talking about this endeavor that this group, the live Deep Purple group, were going to do. And so at 7, 8 o'clock at night, the first set consists of the orchestra, Malcolm Arnold and the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra doing a set. Maybe of a composition that Malcolm Arnold wrote. Hard to say. I wish I had that. It's the only part of the set that seems to be unreleased still to this day in 2012. Anyway, that set went around 10 minutes, and then it was Deep Purple's turn to come out. They did a couple of old songs, one from the first album, one from their second album, and a new song. It's funny they didn't do a song from the third album, because that was their most recent album at the point. But they skipped the third album and just did a brand new song. So there we go. We have an orchestra set, we have a little Deep Purple set. And now it's time for this album to start. With the first movement. This is a concerto for group and orchestra in 3 movements. So, now to think about it, when I got this album in 1974, I was already 10 albums deep in my Deep Purple thing. They had been my favorite band at that point, probably friggin' a year. And I'll tell you, to put the needle on this baby for the first time, within a minute, I was so taken by the music enhanced that I even forgot who I was listening to. So by the 4th or 5th minute, when Deep Purple finally break into the first movement, I'm totally shocked because I was just totally in the trance of great classical music, which had really never quite happened to me before. You know, me being, I don't know, 10 or 11 years old or whatever I was. And once Deep Purple get going on this, I realized that I think this is the best solo that Ritchie Blackmore is doing. It is just wild. And the more wild he's getting, the more wild he's getting Ian Pace. So there's something that on this album, where even it's a classical album, I find goes beyond the In Rock album, which is greatly considered their heaviest album. So this, yeah, that first movement. And the funny thing is, that was 74 when I first heard it. It was about 2005, 2006. I found out through the DVD release of this album that that wild bit that Ritchie Blackmore was doing was not scripted. And if you look at the band and the orchestra while he's doing this, you can see them whispering and looking at their sheet music, wondering what the fuck's going on. So that's it. Richie, even though Richie didn't want to have really anything to do with it, he didn't compose it, and it was kind of more of a distraction to what he wanted to set forth. He ends up making this the greatest Deep Purple album ever. And that's just the first movement we're talking about. The second movement of this album is one of only 2 records that I own, I've ever heard in my life, that brought a tear to my eye. So there you go, I'm a big wimp. And the third movement of this album features Ian Pace. And the roles he's doing on this, I just can't believe. Like, I've heard lots of Ian Pace drum solos, but there's something about this one that I swear he must be using little hickory sticks that are so thin, because the press rolls are incredible. And so that's what this album is, a concerto for group and orchestra in 3 movements. After that was done, the audience was quite so taken, because Deep Purple weren't a hit in England. They were a hit in the United States, and a bit in Canada, and a bit in Denmark at that point, but not in England. So this was a new thing. People were just going to see this as a curiosity, basically. So they were quite overwhelmed, and they wanted an encore. No encore was planned, so basically they just did a little bit of the final movement. And that's the night that makes up Concerto for Group and Orchestra by Deep Purple, composed by John Lord and performed in September 1969, released in November, December 1969, making this the best Deep Purple album and the 14th best album in the history of the human being.
Mark's made a list of the best albums in the history of the human being. Records we all should talk about. An album we could all listen to this week. Let's go to the McDons house. Let's go to the McDons. Let's go to the McDons house and play some songs.
Thanks, everybody.